Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the other stories making rounds on some of the papers while we try to get back through to Session Okwade. Now, to the Guardian newspaper this morning on the front page, stakeholders canvass stronger recovery plans for IOC debts. Now, the writer says IOC's indigenous players still owe federal government 1.3 trillion naira amid borrowing. Banks' loans to oil and gas companies jumped to 5.68 trillion naira. Away from that, government's failure in cash call payment, JV obligations raise concerns. And lastly, IMF urges federal government to avoid doom loop by reducing public debt. Above that, we see the story, officers fear dead in another Air Force jet crash. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Still on page 3, Kuka dares Shehu Adeshino Mohammed to debate on national issues. Lose Wike, lose election. Rivers governor warns PDP. That's on page 4. Kidnappers kill 3 victims for delaying 20 million naira ransom. I took that story on the Punch newspaper already. Beneath that, we see the president and the vice president in a meeting. And we have some stories just beneath that. It says, pardon for Dariye Inyame, you squashed putrid egg on Nigerians' faces, showing car blast Buhari. Beside that, we have a story that says, Tinubu Osibajo raise alarm over plot by alleged propagandist. That is also on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Away from that, stakeholders canvass stronger recovery plans for IOC debts. We see that story on the Guardian newspaper as well this morning. But right now, we have our guest back on the line, Sheson Okwade. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you very much for having me, sir.
All right, so we're having a conversation about the Electoral Act and all of that, and you talked about these presidential aspirants being law-abiding citizens, which I agree with you. But let's take a switch in a situation where we see a sort of debate and issues surrounding stepping down, where there is controversy, and we see some of these persons not willing to step down. What should we expect? Will this matter be taken further to court? Would they be disqualified? What are the speculations around this if that happens?
Yeah, it's quite simple. If it's the law, it's not about individual. So if the law stipulates that they are supposed to step down, even if their party decide to flag them off, you discover that they will be disqualified by the party. And if the party decide to, keep their eyes off the radar and still feature them, you will definitely see so many legal action against them, where people will have the court to interpret what the law stipulates, and then at that point you see the court making the final action to it. But I can tell you that no one wants to drag to that, because it's not. It's about the future. Whatever you build now will speak for you in the future. To do something, we have the internet, we have records, we have archives of activities going on. So I want to believe that they will adhere with the rules, stick with it, so that even if nothing works out now, the future, they will be able to perform as expected.
All right, we'll keep our fingers crossed to see how it unfolds as the primaries are set to, in APC, are set to begin from the 25th of May. Let's move away from that story. Let's come to another one. It still has to do somehow with the elections and all of that. We had a report on Monday how Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria, stated that the 2023 presidential election should be suspended and Nigerians should embrace an interim government for a period of 6 months to look into the constitution and its amendment. How do you react to this suggestion?
Yeah, my reaction to that is outright no. My reason states this, that we have enough time in preparation for this election, and I want to borrow a leaf from what happened in Anambra. You understand the unrest that was in that state. But there was an instruction from the president to all the military apparatus that it is sacrosanct, it's for real, that we must hold our election. You saw the way the whole thing went, and we had a very peaceful one. So, same I believe is obtainable that this election will hold. There's no need for postponement. There's no need for interim government. And if you look at the suggestion by Afe Babalola on looking at past president or vice president or people that have held political offices, standing the gap for 6 months, I ask myself the question, on what premise are we doing that? Some of them are part of the problem that we are faced with now. So why don't we have a new blood? Have our election been held? The level of insecurity we have now, I know it's something that will definitely dazzle down as we progress towards the election process. Because even the contestants have roles to play. And you can see the president is talking, he's reading out the Riot Act and some other things. So for me, the election we hold, we'll have it, and that will be on record that we had a continuous process of electioneering without any break. So for me, having interim government is a no, but we are supposed to have a substantive election that we hold, and we have substantive officers. If you are doing that at the national, what becomes of the state? Are we going to create an interim government? And the answer will definitely be no.